What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and tonight I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished on a short week playing their final preseason game of the 2025 NFL season, going to Carolina, playing the Panthers. Last game of the preseason for the Steelers, Pittsburgh gets the win 19-10, finished with a preseason record of 2-1. Good to get a win on the stat sheet. 2-1 looks pretty good record-wise, although it doesn't matter or account for anything. Wins in preseason don't matter. What does matter is how the players played and who's going to make the final roster and who really impressed the coaches to be out there in the rotation. So let's go ahead and get into those. Again, final score, Pittsburgh wins 19-10, mostly on field goals. One touchdown for the Steelers in this game. Obviously, a lot of the starters once again did not play. No Cam Hayward, no TJ Watt, no Highsmith, no Aaron Rodgers, no Calvin Austin, who's still banged up. A bunch of Jonnu Smith didn't play, still banged up. A lot of that stuff. So Mason Rudolph started the game. Let's go over to the three quarterbacks that played in this game, and we'll talk about something here that's pretty interesting to me. Mason Rudolph comes out 6 for 8 for 36 yards, no touchdowns, one pick. The interception was bad. He had a guy coming across the field. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was McCutcheon or maybe Scotty Miller. I can't think of who the receiver was, but he was coming across the middle of the field. Got himself clean off the line. Fast crosser across the field. Was open, kind of running back away from where the zone was. Mason didn't see the final guy in the last quarter of the zone. Underthrew the ball and had a bad pick. So that is 2 bad picks now in 2 weeks for Mason Rudolph. Skylar Thompson came in as the second quarterback, 11 for 13, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Hold on a second. Let's talk about Logan Woodside, who came in as the third guy, 4 of 6, 38 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Not much out of Woodside. He was brought in basically to be another guy because Will Howard is injured. So now the question becomes, we've talked about Skylar Thompson. He has been now for 3 weeks in a row the best quarterback on this team. Obviously, again, Howard's hurt and Rodgers is our starter and he's not playing. So out of the 3 guys that have played, the ersatz second, third, and fourth quarterback, Skylar Thompson has been the best quarterback all 3 games. And we know he's been a starter before in Miami. He's played in NFL games. He has the experience. But we've seen him have kind of a low ceiling and not be a guy that you want to have be a starter long term. That being said, not only has he had enough in the conversation to talk about potentially taking a spot from Will Howard, which he's not going to. Will Howard was a draft pick. He's a national champion from Ohio State in a big school last year. He's got pedigree. They think they could try to mold him into something to be a future quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a future starter for us, but he is a rookie that they believe in. So he's not losing his spot to Skylar Thompson, NFL journeyman. He's not losing his spot. Skylar Thompson, though, has played so well that I think you can't conjecture that he played better than Howard would have played because Howard wasn't out there. You can't make that leap in logic. What you can say is Thompson played far better than anybody expected, and in my opinion, not only outplayed where I see Will Howard being right now, projection-wise, obviously outplayed Logan Woodside, but has outplayed Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph, outside of that really good first drive in the opening game that he had the touchdown drive on, he has not looked good since. He did not look good last week, and he did not look good this week, and Skylar Thompson has outplayed him in all 3 games. And I know Skylar Thompson is playing against lesser competition. I know Skylar comes in 2 or 3 drives into the game, but he's not playing against that much lesser competition than Mason Rudolph's playing against, and he's playing so much better. The conversation is interestingly enough that Skylar Thompson, he won't, but based on how these guys have played so far this preseason, should be our number 2 quarterback. I'm not saying he should or will be, but based on how he's playing, he's outplayed everybody, including Mason Rudolph at this point. So that says a little more about Mason Rudolph right now than it does Skylar Thompson, but it gives you cause for pause about the guy we're about to let go, because we're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks. I don't see that being a thing. Unless you can put Will Howard on the IR for the year and give him a redshirt year, I don't see a way that Thompson becomes the 3rd quarterback on this team. I think he's going practice squad, and he's probably going to get signed because teams are getting guys injured and they're going to want a veteran on the roster. So I don't see us keeping Thompson at all. But, man, he has raised some eyebrows in this Steelers preseason. Speaking of raising eyebrows, let's talk running game. I'm still a little concerned with the starting offensive line's run blocking game. They've done a decent job pass blocking and overall been pretty clean this preseason. Run blocking, not so much. The later team running backs always do better than the starters because the backup line is better at run blocking than the starting line is, and that scares me. It really does. That being said, the best running back tonight, stat-wise and overall, is Trey Sermon. He had one really nice run where he had a broken tackle. He got into the open field, good blocking, got into the open field, made a guy miss and got to the outside, got an 11-yard run, called back on a penalty. Lots of penalties tonight on both sides. Those refs were flag happy, and most of the penalties were earned. I'm not saying they were bad calls for the most part. A couple were they could have let go. But a lot of flags on both sides, a lot of flags on the Steelers to be concerned about, to be honest. But Trey Sermon overall had the one nice run called back, did catch another one out of the backfield for a broken tackle and getting himself a really nice 20-plus yard catch and run for a first down. And then also broke one on the outside, had a good seal block from the tight ends, got to the outside and got a 20-plus yard run. Finished the day with 4 carries for 39 yards, plus 14 yards through the air as a receiver as well. So big day for Trey Sermon, and if Pittsburgh does want to keep a fourth running back, obviously our top 3 are already sealed, but Trey Sermon, if there's going to be a fourth guy, has worked himself onto this roster. And I think if he goes to the practice squad, he's going to be signed by somebody. He's a veteran, been around for a while, but he's a talented guy, and he's had a good preseason. Another guy with a very good preseason, Lou Nichols, had a really good day again overall. He's not going to be on this team. He's going to go to the practice squad and hopefully not get signed by somebody else because I want to see him play, obviously, but I want to see him on this team. He's my favorite of all the cut guys, of all the obvious guys that are not having any chance to make the main roster by Tuesday, which is cutdown day. Lou Nichols is my favorite guy to watch. I love this guy as a running back. 2 carries for 14 yards. Had a couple nice, had a 9-yard run up the middle and then converted a first down on a 6-yard run. Also had 31 yards through the air on a nice play that he did I guess it was a screen pass. He went, broke a tackle, ran through a guy, and got a nice play through the air. And then also had a wheel route that he got himself open on a nice running back route, and the quarterback missed him. So lots of good plays today from Nichols. Another guy that stood out was Caleb Johnson once again. 5 carries, 24 yards. With about 4.8 yards per carry, something like that, almost 5 yards a carry. Johnson looks pretty good. He still needs to make some more guys miss, work on that footwork, work on his pass blocking, and picking up blitzes. So he's got some raw things there, but in the last 2 games, he has made up for all the doubters in the first game. So good running back days overall. I wonder if Sermon's going to make it. We know Johnson is the number 2 guy, and obviously Nichols probably has no chance, but I've enjoyed watching him play. Wide receivers, man, this wide receiving final decision is so interesting, right? The only guy that's been consistently good every week has been Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller is a guy that I was not a fan of getting last year, not a fan of re-signing this year, because he's a solid guy and you know what you're going to get. Undersized but hard-nosed, but he's not going to be a top-level receiver. He has played himself into my heart this year. Scotty Miller has really worked hard, and getting those sitting down in the zones, one-on-one combat catches, had a nice go ball here today. 3 catches for 82 yards for Scotty Miller. Had a deep one at the end of the first half. They took a chance, and he went up and got it. Scotty Miller has balled out this preseason, and he has locked himself into the roster. He has jumped over the young guys and jumped Robert Woods. He's going to be on this roster, and he needs to be. He's very good. He has had a resurgence here in Pittsburgh so far in this preseason. Lance McCutcheon. Every week it's someone new, right? The big news this week for us hardcore Steeler fans who love the young guys, Rock Miller was released in order to sign some other guys. And we had Gabe Davis in for a visit and he didn't sign. Why cut Rock Miller when you've got Lance McCutcheon on the roster? Even Brandon Johnson. I would have kept Rock Miller over Brandon Johnson, who had a big game last week. But in the first week, we had 3 guys show out. Hurleman, Keyshawn Williams, and Rock Taylor. Second week, Keyshawn didn't get any reps. Hurleman had a few drops and bad plays. Rock Taylor was the star. But Brandon Johnson came out of nowhere and showed up him last week. Now, suddenly, for some reason, Rock Taylor is cut before the end of the preseason. I have no idea why. But all of a sudden, now Lance McCutcheon comes up with 3 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. Had a nice, I think it was a fade play that he caught. Had another nice deep ball. McCutcheon played really well. I don't think he's got a shot of making this roster. But the bottom of the roster is pretty interesting because Keyshawn Williams played pretty well today. A couple catches, one nice route to the sideline, couple decent returns, but nothing special. He's a return guy and he's a fast receiver. I don't think he was better than Rock Taylor, and it's really debatable about Brandon Johnson, but he was the best receiver in the first week, and he had a couple of nice plays this week as well. So it's going to be interesting. Do they decide to go with Keyshawn Williams? Or are they still going to bring somebody in? The scuttlebutt is going to be they're going to be looking at someone like Romeo Doubs, or somebody from the Patriots. I've heard Jalen Polk this week. I've heard the veteran down there this week. There's a couple guys they've talked about, so Pittsburgh may be adding one more person to the roster, which means these guys are gone. But every week it's someone different. Robert Woods gets a negative for me. He's been there for 3 weeks, and I think he might have 1 catch in 3 games. Nothing again tonight. The only time his name was called at all for anything was a penalty. He had a penalty on a run play that was called back. That was the nice play from Trey Sermon. So Robert Woods has played himself totally off this roster. Where Scotty Miller has come in and elevated himself, Robert Woods is done. I think he's done with the Steelers and maybe even done with the NFL. Great career, but he's slowing down and he's not making plays receiving or blocking well. Offensive line, the 2 big negatives I want to call out here are Ryan McCollum and Dylan Cook. Cook with another penalty. That's been a problem for him all preseason. I think he's played himself off this roster. I think the addition of Andrus Peat, along with the two Calvins getting healthy, Calvin Anderson and Spencer Anderson, the two Andersons, Calvin Anderson, Spencer Anderson. I think Dylan Cook is off this roster. He has not played well whatsoever, and a lot of penalties, another one tonight. Ryan McCollum, 3 penalties tonight. He's our only backup center on the roster. He's the only other guy that can play center really full-time besides the starter. And McCollum just was horrible tonight. 3 penalties, did not play well inside whatsoever. Bad day. He's still going to be on the roster because he snaps the ball and nobody else can, but not a good day for him. Defensively, Harmon went down with an injury, was carted off the field and was crying initially, so we thought the worst. He was a first-round draft pick who's been starting since day 1. He is going to be the future. He's brought in to be the big defensive lineman for the future, and having him carted off was scary. He did walk back on the field in his own power and sit on the sidelines with his teammates, so that's a very good sign. I haven't heard reports yet. It looked bleak in the beginning and looks better now, but my goodness, please, young man, stay healthy because you're a beast, and I want you out there as a franchise guy. Speaking of young potential big franchise guys, Y.A. Black, he got one really nice sack off the edge where he creamed a guy. Got another one that was, it's credited as a sack in the stat sheet, but in reality, I think it's kind of a forced fumble. He goes in and gets the wrap up. The guy stumbles, almost touches the ground, keeps his knee off the ground, and the quarterback fumbles, which then is recovered by Mark Robinson. So they gave him a sack in the stat sheet, but it's actually kind of a forced fumble, but not really a full forced fumble, just kind of a collision forced fumble. So it's a weird stat, but he's credited here for 2 sacks. He at the very least got a really good sack and a near sack that caused a fumble. So very good day for Y.A. Black. This dude, again, is a gigantic man who is an underrated athlete. Man, he's going to be something for this team. The combination of Black and Harmon, plus Keona Benton being out there, I think our line is in good hands after this past draft. What else do I have here? Carson Bruner. Carson Bruner might have played his way onto this roster. He's fighting for that last inside linebacker spot with Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson did get a fumble recovery in this game and made a couple of decent running back tackles. But Carson Bruner adds a lot of help on special teams, which is also where Mark Robinson shines. But Carson Bruner has had really good special teams play. He's been one of the best on special teams for us on this whole team this preseason. Had 5 total tackles today, 3 solo, 2 assisted, 5 tackles between special teams and defense. Was more active on defense today. Is not the best cover guy, but is a pretty good tackler on defense and special teams. I think he might have jumped over Mark Robinson for that final spot, being in his rookie season. I think he's an underrated player. He's got some growing to do, but played pretty well tonight. Let's see. Malik Harrison, the 4th string inside linebacker, is just a really solid dude. Got a really big hit on a quarter. I think it was a running back coming into the gap. He's really good at play recognition. He's starting to really pick up the gaps pretty well. He's probably one of the better 4th inside linebackers in the league. Obviously, we have Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, so this guy's a 4th inside linebacker. But I think on most teams, he could be a starter. He could be a number 2. This dude's really good. Had a good game. Jack Sawyer positive here today. Didn't register any big sacks on the stat sheet, but several pressures and a lot of tackles. He was around the run game a lot in this. He was getting off the edge more. It didn't show up in the numbers, but it's going to if you keep winning your matchups. I complained about him last week not being nearly that active for playing as much as he is and playing against backups. This week he was much more active. Still not getting the numbers I would like yet, but more tackles and more pressures this week out of Jack Sawyer. DeMarvin Leal, I've got a positive plus/minus on. it was the quintessential DeMarvin Leal game, right? Dude's got a lot of energy. He's got speed off the edge. He's got excitement and power, and he's talented, but he doesn't quite make the plays. He jumped off the edge on one play and got a really nice tackle for a loss, shot out of a cannon, but then it was because he jumped offside, so his own penalty took him backwards. He had another play where he shot out of a cannon and almost got a sack and missed the guy, but then it resulted in the quarterback throwing an interception. So it wound up being a better play for us, but Leal should have had a great sack and missed it. Another play, he came out of the backfield, tackled the running back on a really good play recognition, but grabbed his face mask and wound up turning the tackle for a loss into another penalty, which was a 15-yard face mask penalty. So Leal is right on the precipice of making these plays, but it's always a day late and a dollar short. It's always too little too late, and I think Leal needs to be gone at this point. It's been 4 or 5 seasons. He always shows bursts, but usually preseason is where he shines, and he didn't shine until this game, and there was a lot of negatives even amongst his shining in this game. So he came out and tried really hard, but he made some bad mistakes, and it's too little too late for me with DeMarvin Leal. Kyler Baugh got a sack. Never heard that name before. Good for Kyler Baugh to get a nice sack in this game. James Pierre got the interception after the missed sack from Leal. Nice play where he just jumped in front of the route and stood there, and the quarterback made a rush throw. So Pierre got a pick. Again, he's on the fringe of making that final roster spot. I don't think he needs to. I think you got your 3 stars. You got Beanie Bishop, who didn't play tonight, or I didn't see on the field tonight. You got the guy from the Jets, who's played very, very solid as kind of the backup nickel. I think those 5, and then depending on what you want to do with Trice, or if you want to keep Pierre because he's more of an outside guy. So we'll see where that goes. Ben Saul's 4 of 4 in this game, including a 48-yarder, made all 4 of his kicks. Again, he is not going to be our kicker. We have our guy, obviously, in Boswell. But I think Saul's, I think he only missed 1 field goal in 3 games, and he's made a lot of kicks. Really solid preseason. Wouldn't mind seeing him go get signed by somebody and play in the NFL. Obviously, a Pitt product, Pitt kicker who's played very, very well here. In terms of the punting battle, we had both of our punters, Cam Johnston and Corliss Waitman, both punt once. Waitman's was for 35 yards, Johnston's was for 33. So Waitman wins by 2 yards tonight. I think Cam Johnston gets the punter battle. I think he's slightly ahead. It's a coin flip. Either guy's really good. They're both going to be starting punters this year. Some other team's going to want the other guy we don't keep. So we have an embarrassment of riches here at punter. Let's try and trade the other punter we're not going to keep for like a 6th rounder or a 7th rounder, right? It's not going to happen. But we kept 2 punters on the roster last year, so we might stash one. We might stash them both to bring somebody else in so we can cut someone later. Anyway, I'm going to guess Cam Johnston, but either guy I'm fine with at this point. So Pittsburgh gets the win 19-10. Final roster cutdown day is Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'll bring you guys my roster projections. I do it every year where I predict who I think is going to be on the roster and some guys that I would like to see sneak on the roster, in my opinion. I'll bring you guys that video sometime, maybe Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Sometime within 24 to 48 hours of the final roster predictions, and then I'll bring you guys the final roster video. So stay tuned, take care, friends, and talk about it in the comments down below. Tell me down below who impressed you, who you want to see make this roster out of the guys that I listed, who are your dark horses and favorite guys to watch this preseason, who disappointed you, and let's talk about that final roster. Give me some bold predictions for your final roster. Like, share, and subscribe to these Pittsburgh Steelers deep dives, and I will see you guys at some point over the next couple of days with my final roster predictions. Go Steelers.